600,000 prisoners only out of prison every year. And all we talk about is the recidivism rate, highlighting failures. But this is a new time now. It's time to celebrate. Time to admire. Time to honor those who got out of prison and never looked back. Doing something with themselves and their lives while giving back. This is the reentry journey. I am your host, Courtney Sales. And going to participate in the tour, in the what we like to say is going to be one of the most biggest thing that's going on in reentry. Honestly, I met this brother. I actually been sitting back, following, looking at this work, and then Aaron from Escaping the Odds Media tagged me and tagged him in a post, and then we end up chopping it up. We end up meeting. He ended up sharing the story, and I was like, man, you got to be on the first of all, I was like, you got to be on the tour. I got to get you on the tour. I got to get you on the workshop. And then I was like, I got to get you on the podcast to share your story. So no more further ado. Let me just go ahead and bring you to the floor. Like I said, man, be yourself. We be ourselves on here, man. This is what the podcast is all about. I'd just like to introduce everybody to Mr. Justin Rhedrick, from bars to Bitcoin. Welcome to the reentry journey.
What's going on, man? What's going on, man?
Man. Man, you know, just chilling, man, taking them one day at a time. Really been busy trying to put this tour together, getting the dates lined up, trying to get everybody you know, in the situation to where they can be able to, you know, share their stories, do their workshops, and get exposed to the institutions, because that's really what it's all about for me. One, going on the inside, providing that knowledge, inspiration, and hope, and two, giving those like us, formerly incarcerated, we out here doing great things. We sincere in what we're doing. We got these programs and trying to let us get the floor on inside the institutions and let them see that we can do. And it really changed the narrative to let the formerly incarcerated success educators come inside and run programs now. So, man, I really appreciate, before we even get started, you wanting to be involved, man, and reaching out and connecting with me, period. So I really appreciate that. But enough about all the tour and all that, man. Let the people know about you, man. Let them know about you.
Well, look, right back to the tour though, man. Like it was good for me to even hear and inspiring to see that you and Aaron and others who actually, you know, did the time will be the ones facilitating the programs. Because as we know, if you sit inside penitentiary and you see people that come in and you respect and you honor what's going on, but there's something in the back of your head, like, you know, we can't really all the way connect because you don't walk that journey. So someone being able to actually seeing people walk that journey and then seeing it come from people like, you know, yourself, who just is, because you told me like you put it together off the ground, off the strength of just wanting to do it, you know. So that speaks volumes. But and that's what enticed me to even add what I could add, you know, as I can.
Right.
You know, about me, I'm Justin Rhedrick. In the Twitter and Instagram spaces, I go by BitcoinVegan. I'm an author of a book called From Bars to Bitcoin, and I'm a coach as well of a coaching practice called Overcome All Adversity. But my story started very different from others. I wasn't always um, in and out of the system, but my journey really started around my senior year. But really, when I started even looking back, it kind of started when my mom and my dad split. A lot of things just started going left, um, and it was just like a slow effect. But in my senior year, um, we had lost our house to the housing market crash early too. It was like '06. So
Wait
when
a
I
minute,
was
you said '06 was your senior year?
yeah '06, I
Oh
graduated.
man, boy, you make me feel old.
Man, you ain't that
Man,
old,
you making
man.
me feel old, man.
You still got the prison glow, man. Stop playing.
Man, it's an '06, your senior year. Oh man. So
I'm
it's
33.
'06 in your senior year.
Yeah,
Y'all lose
but
your house.
we lost the house. I remember coming back home and my mom was, breaking down, crying. I was like, "What's up?" And things started just going different. So then I transferred to a different school. I was a hooper in my city, and I was training hard to do that, but I never got to play ball that year. And so I just started hanging out with folks I always knew, in Charlotte. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had gone to West Charlotte High School, and all we started doing there was just partying, hanging out, smoking weed, being out all night. And then one night we were at a party, and one of my friends got killed. His name was Travis Moore. Um, it was a little tight party, and we could tell like other folks from other neighborhoods was coming in, and you just hear a gunshot go off, and bam! I'm like, what the hell? And so then I'm thinking I'm gonna get up and leave and go on about my day, but then I see my homeboy there, got shot. He got shot through his mouth and went through an artery, hit the main artery. And so we were in there
Mm,
with him. I stayed in there with him till the paramedics and the police came to take him out. But I had hope that he was gonna live, but I saw the soul leave his eyes, and so
right.
that really just shifted me a whole lot that I ain't never know about. Um, until I was about like 28, and I'm like, damn, I was carrying that for a minute, and I still do. But from there, I think I just tapped down on everything. Um, I had gone to college, like I had told you, I went to North Carolina A&T for like a year and a half, and there
And
I
what
was.
was that? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what was that college like? What was we talking about? Yeah, you ain't gonna just slide in there. We talking about one of the premier black colleges.
So back then, man, A&T is nothing like it is now. Back then,
Okay.
it was like folks would still have good education there, but a lot of folks were there just to either escape, a bad scenario close to mine, escape the hood, or come to college and do the same type of shit they were doing at home. Like for instance, there was this apartment up the streets that I would go hang out with my cousins at in, and they seemed to have like gang beef going on. And this one kid named Dexter, I think his name was Dennis, he got shot and killed outside his doorstep. Uh,
Mm,
hell, I was in school and very down bad with finances. So hell, I started hollering at my folks in Atlanta to go back to school and buy weed down there, selling in school. Uh,
right.
it was the college experience was still cool, but I didn't really have that college experience.
Okay.
I was carrying a lot of weight with me, and a lot of my friends were too. Like I think only like two people I knew really graduated. Um, like we would have so Greensboro was like an hour away from Greensboro was an hour away from Charlotte. So everybody who either was from Charlotte or was still just there in Charlotte would come out there and hang out. And again, it could have been a lot better had I made better choices, but the choices I
Right.
made weren't the same as like my cousin and everybody else. So it was a.
Was you hooping? You said you was hooping. Was you hooping down there?
I wasn't hooping down there, man. I didn't hoop.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hoop. They had like intramural league basketball, but
Yeah.
I gave up on hooping, bro. Like I wasn't able to put in the work like I had wanted to. And
Okay.
so I like now that you
So
say,
you down? So you at AT&T, which is really all time on your hand.
18, yeah.
Outside of classes.
And I barely went there, man. Like,
right. I was about to say, you know, I've been in the same situation. Barely went to college. Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
I ain't do nothing but like smoke weed, party, chase girls, sell weed, be doing shit I ain't really had no business doing. My mom was really fucked up, to be honest with you.
Right.
And so I'm trying to juggle, you know, being in college, being away from the house, still not having no like funds at all. My finances just fucked up. And then like while I'm smoking weed, man, I remember I'm in class one day and the professor said, you know, you won't be able to get any jobs till like 5 years after you graduate. And I stood up. I was like, hold on, bro. So you telling me like we gotta wait 5 years to get a job that we here for? And he was like, yeah. So I said, what's up with the student loans? I said, Sally Mae gonna start knocking at the door soon, ain't? And so he was like, yeah. I was like, bro, I just felt like I was getting some bullshit ran on me. So
straight up,
I literally dropped out. But when I dropped out of school, I came back to Charlotte. Still in the same financial situation, broke as hell. And so then I started hanging out with folks in my neighborhood. I live on Batersford Road in Charlotte, and trying to find ways to make money. You know, think about trying to get quick money, not necessarily working for it in the regard that we know now. So my cousin and a few other people, you know, either selling drugs or they kicking indoors. So they told me about a scenario about trying to make some quick money. Old dude was scamming. He was supposed to have some cash on him. So we had gone in there. It was late at night. And lo and behold, wasn't no real money there and wasn't nothing there at all, but some time, which I caught. And when I remember that shit happening like in April, by June, I had already been arrested. The folks who I had committed a crime with, they had got arrested that night. And so by the time they got to me, it was like a month or two down the line. And then that process started of going to prison. And then like I remember the day they knocked on my door and my mom was like, you know, the police outside. I was like, well, shit, just let them in. You know, they came in there, you know, guns drawn, pointed at me. And I remember, like, you know, during the past few years ago when folks was getting shot and killed by the police, I'm really thinking to myself, boy, like, you know, that was a blessing that you weren't one of those people.
Right.
They came in your house and could have just did anything they wanted to.
Yeah, because them situations, you hear a lot of times about them type of situations turning into something real ugly.
Yeah. So, you know, from there, I caught my time. It was 40 months. I got charged with second-degree kidnapping and conspiracy of robbery with a dangerous weapon. And it wasn't until I got to prison, I was just like, man, shit. Ain't next step for this is death, Justin. So, like, what's it gonna be, bro? Like, you know, you're gonna either continue going down the path or you're gonna turn this into something beautiful. But it's gonna have to be a comeback, it's gonna have to be some work for it. So during those 3 years in prison, I did a lot of studying itself. I read up on a lot of different religions. The one I took home the most was Moore Science Temple. And
now cut it out. Time out, man. See, we ain't talking about this. Time out, man. You get, hey, for real. You got to be, you serious? Like, for real?
Yeah.
Like Moore Science, that's the religion that you really took on.
Yeah, I took that to heart in prison.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Yes.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
The
divine Constitution and bylaws. Circle 7.
I still got it downstairs right now.
Man, that's my religion. That's what I practice heavily. Open Noble Drew Ali's and the Moore Science Temple opened my eyes and mind to a lot of things. This was on my first prison bid. They opened my eyes to be. I was the chairman. I was a mufti. I was the grand sheik. More science. Yeah, a lot of people. You don't hear a lot of people talking about Noble Drew Ali, but he sets the foundation for a lot of things that we see today. So, man, that's crazy. You were ill or a bay?
I was L.
Use
Let's
the
close it.
L. Oh, use the creator. Use the creator.
I
Yeah,
ain't gonna say was, I mean am.
yeah, use the creator. Yeah, I'm a Bay. I'm the Bay. Yeah, I'm one of the governors. Oh man, that's crazy. Oh no. Oh man. Yeah, we sure you didn't say that, but yeah, man, that's crazy. But most definitely. Yeah.
It just flowed out, man. But yeah, I had this one guy from Charlotte. We called him Rabbit. And Rabbit, he was just like, man, you'll be, he said, I see some leadership traits in you. You don't belong here, but you here. You know what I'm saying? You're not like running from what it is. And so he's the one who first introduced me to come to the meetings, and we'll go to the meetings. I remember I got my first Circle 7. I remember having a dream, and I really felt like Prophet Noble Ali was in a dream. He said, you ready for this? I was like, yeah, we're going to do what it is. I'm here for whatever.
Knowledge yourself.
Yeah, and that's when I started noticing like a lot about focusing on self. Like there's always something that you could focus on for you to still improve you. And so it was just always an iron, and like you always got a wrinkle. You know what I'm saying? No matter once you iron out another wrinkle, you got another wrinkle. Once you got that wrinkle, once you iron out that wrinkle, you got another wrinkle.
Right.
So I remember, so I was at Mountain View for a few years. That was the longest I had been in one prison, I think.
I do recall maybe hearing this, I think I was watching your documentary. For those of you that's tuned in, the documentary link is in the comments. I was watching your documentary a piece, and it said that you never owned a watch or looked at a calendar.
Yeah, nah, I ain't never.
What was the reason behind that?
The reason behind that, man, because I ain't want to I ain't want to get caught in calendar days. I just wanted to. I noticed something about me. If I'm fully immersed into it, it will fly by. Like things would go by, and I was like, all right. So, like I said, I never had a watch. I got reeled in tune with what the day was. It helped the time fly by. I know a lot of people say you can't sleep the time off, but shit, my first year, I used to wake up at 12 p.m. every day. Like shit, I only got a few more hours left in the day. But it was I never cared about it. I wasn't gonna. I had a feeling like I wasn't gonna get out no earlier.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And I was young.
I know some people that be boy. They act like they watch gamers on the streets in the joint. Man, I got this new G-Shock. They got about 6 or 7 watches. I'm like, man, what you got all them watches for, man?
Oh, man, like gonna change. Look, the only time I cared about was the release date. Like, when folks were like, "You trying to get closer to the house and all of this," I'm like, "Bro, for what?" Like, I mean, granted, for my family to come and see me for shorter distances, true indeed, and I can respect that. But it didn't matter if my house was right next door to the penitentiary. I ain't gonna be able to walk in until the release date is here. So that's how I viewed it. But I ain't really care about that, bro. It was just, let's do this time and get it over with. And so from there, I learned a lot, though. We used to do a lot of hustling on the yard, running the canteen. We had a lot of white boys at that penitentiary, white people at that penitentiary. But it wasn't until I transferred to this one prison called Caledonia. Caledonia was like Camp 8 off of Life, old as hell, no cameras. But it was at Caledonia where I really started getting to further knowledge of self. I learned how to box at Caledonia. We used to go to the yard, and they had the basketball goal, but they had the pad on it, the blue pad.
They wrapped around the pole.
Yeah. Me and this dude, Magnetic, we would go out there. We have gardening gloves on, and I just started practicing boxing, learning how to box in prison. I would go so hard with it, man. Some days I couldn't write a letter for weeks, but I noticed how that shit helped me pass my time by. Like it was very tremendous. But the flip side on it, folks on the yard looking at you crazy. They thinking about, well, shit, I'm gonna test his hands and all of that. But it never really got crazy. One time though, this one old dude named JB, he been down for like forever probably, and he was like, "Man, I want to see what's up, Slim." I said, "I want to see what's up." I was like, "Bro, stop playing." And so then one day, I bullshitted with him, and then I hit him, boom, and I saw Like I saw it happen. I saw his lip and his teeth cut blood out. I was like, boy, this about to be an issue. So
Right.
then he wanted to go in the back and all of this. I'm gonna do this. I said, all right now, bro. I'm being polite, bro. Like it was a certified accident. You know what I'm saying? And so then I just threw a punch at him, a quick 1-2, and bro just left the room. And I never went around the yard bragging about it, nothing.
Right.
I ain't really care.
Yeah, but for those that tune in, they might not know, but you know, if you've been in prison, you know, if you're out there boxing and stuff, working on people are really gonna try to they're gonna find some way to try to test you to see.
Yeah.
I remember this dude, I was in there, it was a dude and they used to do karate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he got another dude, you know what I'm saying, after about a month, dude was doing it, you know, he got a friend and another dude and started teaching them. So they used to be in the cell doing karate stuff. And people be walking, you know, you take laps around the unit or something when you're on the inside, you can't get no outside. You see them in there practicing. Well, I remember one morning, it was a bad look for the karate dude too. he was out there doing it, and the dorm worker was out there cleaning up. He's like, "Man, you're gonna have to wait till I get done." So they had that little word. Man, the dorm dude beat the karate man up. Man, dude didn't practice karate no more after that. Him or the student.
Man, see that you got those scenarios, but the dude I was training for, man, this dude was like, he was a wild one, man. He was a wild one, man. He was like that. Like and folks around there knew it. He like we used to spar sometimes as best we could, and I would leave hurt though. You know what I'm saying? Like I would really leave hurt, but that's what the sport called for. But at Caledonia, it was a different, like it was more black people there, but the experience was way different. But I was there for probably about 18 months, and then I had transferred out and gone home. And when I had got home, that's when I really started noticing, like, damn, ain't nothing changed for real. Like your scenario is still the same, your finances are still the same, but now it's like you're playing from like negative. You know what I mean? It's one thing starting from zero, but now it's like you negative 100. You know what I mean? So like now you really got to crawl back.
So at this point right here, you out. What was one thing that you learned, right? That carried over that you realized that you gonna have to utilize this in prison when you got out and at this very moment, like, man, I ain't at zero, I'm at negative 100.
The consistency. So like in prison, I realized like you don't need to know nothing to be good at something. Like I was a baker. I didn't know how to bake no pies and cakes from scratch in prison. I didn't know how to box before going to prison. What else? Hell, like I didn't know how to charge a cell phone with headphone wires before prison, but you learn these things because you're there every day, consistently, day in, day out. Like people like thinking like, oh, you only did 3 years or someone only did 15 years. You actually did whatever, how many seconds are in a day, times that in a year, times that by your sentence. That's what you did day for day, second for second. So the biggest thing I had taken out was like, bro, you didn't know none. There's not a lot of stuff you knew before you left prison, but you out and you know these things. But the main thing I knew how to do was learn and apply. Like that was the greatest superpower I had, was learning and applying, like ruthlessly. So when I was like, all right, I'm out. It was bad too, bro. I mean, it was terrible. You know what I mean? Like just that smack of reality in your face.
Right.
Really get prepared for that. There's no way. I mean, there's certain ways you can prepare people, but then there's just some ways like you're gonna have to let somebody touch that. It's like a child; they gotta touch the stove to know it's hot. So you still gotta understand, like someone's gonna walk that path dolo. But there was something else I remember too. I remember a lot of guys who, who respected me in prison. They would say, who had like a couple of sentences in there. They were like, I would listen to their stories when they say like, well, when I was out, but I went back, and I would always say went back. And so I started listening to that word deeper. It was like I'll go back to the same people. I'll go back to the same neighborhood. I'll go back to doing the same things I did before. I would go back to a certain level of thinking. And I was just like, bro, shit, I'll die before I do this shit again, bro. Like, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, period. I have more, you have more freedom being homeless than you do in prison. You know what I'm saying? But I've also seen guys fight for their life in prison, like legally. I had this one bunkmate, he had like 5 life sentences. And you remember when we talked about, you know, some folks is monsters, they shouldn't get out.
Right.
One of them, but he was still fighting for his sentence. He was fighting for a release date every single day. And I admired it because I'm just like, damn, bro. Like, even when there's no hope for you at all, you're gonna still go for it.
Yeah.
So that's why I took out with me, and then I just started, you know, assessing the scenario of what real life was, the options that was given to me. And I said, hell, I'm gonna have to make a way out of something, you know, out of whatever it is that's out there. So one of the first things was I knew I was gonna be an entrepreneur. Like that was kind of something that was comforting, that I knew I wasn't gonna get a job, the job that I probably could get coming home, so that it would be 100% on me to make this thing work.
Right. So, how many? You said you knew you wasn't going to get a job and coming home. So when you got out and you tried to get a job, how many times did you get denied on the job that you would say somebody they said no because of your background?
Shit, all right. I got denied. I applied. Now I did put myself out there.
Right.
I got denied from 2 Men in a Truck, a moving company. I got denied from like PF Chains working in the back as a dishwasher. I got denied from valet trash. It's like if they have an apartment and somebody comes, you put your trash can outside, they pick up your trash. Hell, I recently got denied from Uber Eats. Like when I came home, I would go to job fairs. I probably put in like 10 applications somewhere back to back to back to back. And it was real demotivating just to keep hearing no, 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 and no. And I was just like, bro, if I'm gonna go through this type of hell to try to build somebody else's stuff, I might as well go through hell to build my own. Now, the work I did find was like retail merchandising. And that's a scenario where they call you the third 1099 work. You can go and let's just say Advanced Auto Parts is somewhere that's everywhere in the country. And you on a team, let's say me and you run a team of 10 guys or 10 people, and we got to go into a store, build it up for a grand opening in about a week. They pay everybody $12 an hour, but you're working 12 hours a day, no benefits. They give you a per diem to travel. Everybody's on a van. You go up there, work. They pay the hotel. And it's very seasonal, so you might get more work, you might not. But that was what the opportunity was for me. I was able to do that other places in Charlotte. But again, like you might go through a few months where there's no work. So you still got to find different ways.
Right.
But like the traditional means of, you know, having that consistent 9 to 5, it was hard for me to get because of my crime. You know, it was a violent crime. So, but within there, I said, all right. I started going to this boxing gym called Dime Boxing in Charlotte, and boxing is something I took out. You know, boxing has always been there. When nobody else was, when everything else was going to hell. My coach, James Presley, he always left the door open for me. You know what I mean? He never closed the door. And that type of support was very real. You know, so I appreciate that to this day. But then I started getting into I started learning about Dr. Sebi. He gave me new Drew Ali vibes. He was very astute when it came to veganism. And it was him who had just watching him online. I was like, I'm gonna get this thing a shot. And I did that in the middle of training for a fight. And I probably shouldn't have, but I wanted to do that. And so from there, I started like, this one of my friends said, you might as well start cooking food and delivering. You cook pretty good food. I said, all right, fuck it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I would get food stamps. I would buy food stamps from this one girl. I would buy the food, cook it, go out here, try to, hustle it off. I was using social media to get my name out there. And I
Right.
knew that I did not know like the quote unquote legit way to be an entrepreneur. So I said, hell, we just gonna learn. We're gonna learn off the strength of experience. Go get
Right.
you can either
And
learn.
that's a lot of times what we have to do, especially us coming out of prison and really being in an environment where we don't know how to really got the information or courses or whatever to really know how to run a business and things like that. So we just go off natural hustling instinct. Well, if I can get this from this person and get for this, and then go over here and whip it up and sell it for this, and then we just gonna learn the process along the way, but not knowing. I mean, the other people are not knowing that for us, we're just thinking of providing another way to eat and have funds without having to go back to the streets that got us in prison in the first place.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you go through this method and over time, like something starts happening. You start picking up on things, start meeting new people. And then from there, I started really understanding the value of networking, knowing who to do business with, learning from there, picking up on trends. But then I started realizing, like, I noticed that for a lot of incarcerated individuals, and I want people to really hear this, a lot of the work that we are offered offers a lot of time in exchange for money. And I started understanding that the value of having of being like financially free means not to have to exchange a lot of your time for money. Like, think about it like this: most black folks go to prison either trying to get some money or out of a desperation of thought because of lack of money. But you go do this crime, whatever, and to think about how much money you might try to get as opposed to the time you got to serve for doing a crime. Like, it's like you don't want to keep trying to exchange a lot of time for money, especially when you coming out. You might be, I did 3 years. I came home at 24, but you got folks who be in their 40s, 50s, did like 20 plus years. It's like, damn, I left the world as a 20-year-old, but I'm out here, 40 some years old, but now I got to put in work like I'm a 25-year-old again. Like, nah, that don't add up. Damn. So we really got to find a way to leap that, you know what I'm saying? So when I was learning, just about entrepreneurship, networking with people, I had a friend who was into Bitcoin. And so I just kept looking at it and looking at it. As a matter of fact, what happened was I was with my girlfriend and I was at a gas station and someone said, "Yo, Justin," and they in an all black Charger. I'm thinking, like, what the fuck?
Right.
So they're like, "Man, it's me, Zay." Oh, okay. Like the name Zay supposed to just like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, anybody could be named Zay, but I remember who it was. We ended up playing. We played ball together when I was 11 years old, so I felt more comfortable walking up on the car and all of that. And so he said, "Follow me on Instagram." I said, "All right, cool." And then now this is 2015.
Okay.
2015. I came home in 2014, so this is around 2015, and I'm still doing I think I'm still doing the merchandising work a little bit. But I see him online. I said, "All right, I'm gonna follow you on the gram." And I would see what he would post, and he was talking about Bitcoin. I didn't really take it serious. And then I saw this movie called Dope, and on Dope they were talking about Bitcoin. I'm like, what the hell? Now, one thing I learned from prison was to take signs. You know what I mean? Like,
signs a symbol for the conscious mind.
Yeah, like
you got
the universe
that from
is
the
trying to give
know.
you something here. Now, if you let it go by, that's on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you gotta take that signal. So I was like, all right. So now my attendance is up. My granddaddy, who passed away in 2017, he bought like this Bitcoin miner.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What's going on? So I looked it up. My whole family think he crazy, but I remember they would say like, "Well, granddaddy, he would always be on investments early when nobody would think about it." And so I was studying. I was like, "All right, so you really need to pay attention to this." So what really made me serious, bro, was when my mom said, there's this thing going on. You can put your money in, it can grow for you. In the 60 days, you can take it out. I was like, in my head, I'm willing to think, I'll try it.
Right.
I've done dumber stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
It was a scam, you know what I'm saying? But I saw Bitcoin was there again. Now,
Right.
being in the streets, being in prison, that in my head, majority of people might take it as a sign to run. I was like, nah, like there's some value here if folks are using it like this. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I just gotta find what the real value is behind it.
Value is right.
And so that's when I reached back out to Zay. I told him what was going on. He kept it a buck, like, yeah, you got scammed. But that don't mean like the Bitcoin itself is a scam. Like money, people been scamming with regular US dollars for years. And
Yes. Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, that's real. So what happened was we was talking one day and I said, so what is it? He says, like, I said, what is Bitcoin? Like, it's an investment, it's money. He was like, well, it's considered both. You can use it as an investment, you can use it as money. He said, but it's also decentralized. And I'm like, decentralized. I felt like that was something big.
Right.
In North Carolina, we have central prison. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
everybody will go. If you're an adult, you get processed. So I was
Okay.
like, what does decentralized mean? He's like, well, it's outside of government control and regulation. And that instantly made me think of like stamps on the yard. Because
Right.
in North Carolina, we don't have cash on the yard. And we don't have tobacco neither. So if you got
Mm-hmm.
stamps, that's like currency. So
You
if
got them. You got them joints wrapped in rubber bands.
yeah, yeah,
Come right there.
yeah,
Not
like
like
when we
that.
would gamble, I remember one time I hit a pick of the week for like me and my roommate hit a pick of the week for like 500 stamps. Then the next week we
Yeah.
hit another
Yeah.
pick of the week for like 300. Folks was like, "Well,
Yeah.
you ain't been needing no money in a while." I'm like, "Hey, shit, we eat.
You got these stamps. People
Yeah,
don't understand. Only people in prison understand the value of stamps. Because like you said, a lot of things. That's how you got to pay for stuff. Stamps, especially if you're playing a sports ticket. That's how you do stamps. Yeah. So yeah.
So from there, I was just like, all right. So I was just like, all right, bet. So when I started putting it in the mind frame. I'm in my head. So I'm just like, all right. So could Bitcoin truly survive prison outside of like a raid? You know what I'm saying? Like without, if the guards didn't come in and do a random search every so often, find a cell phone, could this motherfucker really survive? And I was like, yeah, it could. And so if because it just kept reminding me of freedom. I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
let's survive prison. Outside the fact of it being on a cell phone, they can take your phone. It can still survive prison because you're given, like, you got to have like these private keys and passwords, but it can't take the money. Like if you got a lot of bread before going to prison, they can freeze your account. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Freeze your account. Or like what we see with Russia, where the whole world, the SWIFT banking system just cut them off. They can't do that with Bitcoin. So that's when I'm like, all right, it's some real freedom here. I might not know what's up all the way, but when I didn't feel like there was an overhead oppressor,
Right.
that's where I was like, all right, bam.
You feel like you ain't had nobody looking over your shoulders.
Right. Yeah. So when I felt that vertical alignment from top to bottom, I was like, oh shit, I think I stumbled on something. So then I did more digging, and I saw like nothing but white. It was, and no black people were there. Just me and a few others. And I'm talking about like, it was to the point I was so early that I knew me going to being in prison and coming to Bitcoin be to my advantage.
Okay.
Like I knew that it's not just the fact like, oh, he's black, he's a black guy in this space, or he's a ex-con in this space. Like, no, I actually know this space. I took that same amount of learning and knowledge that we did in prison, applied it to learn Bitcoin like ruthlessly.
Right.
There's one guy by the name of D. Miller L. He was serious about more science. He never went to prison, but he was serious about the temple, even in the streets. And he was really big on Bitcoin. He's the one who helped me even see Bitcoin through that sovereign lens that Noble Drew Ali talks about, being a sovereign money, having control over your money.
Yeah.
I don't know if you I don't know if you even have like, guys who are not in prison on here, but if I could even make a recommendation, it would be for him to be on. But we get to that later. But what I'm saying is like I saw that freedom there. And
Right.
so I still had the vegan stuff going on. I would accept Bitcoin for my food. I even coined the name BitcoinVegan. I was so early, bro. I was like BitcoinVegan. That has a nice ring to it. I Googled the name, nothing came up. I
Right.
put on Google, no results came up. I was the only one to have this hashtag. So at first, I was in my head, I'm like, yo, as a black man, one, then as a black man that has a record, I'm the first to something like this.
Exactly.
Like I could fuck up as many times, but I'm still the first to something like this. So that knowledge is power. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when I was like, yo, you gotta go in, you gotta go in, you gotta go in. And Bitcoin's like $600 then, bro.
Oh man.
But and I still didn't have enough to own the whole Bitcoin. Like if I would have bought a $600 Bitcoin, trying to hold it for 5 years. I mean, yeah, money would have came by, but it was hard for me to conceptualize how to do that because I still didn't have that financial education of knowing,
Right.
what it was. I just knew I had an asset, and now I knew I had to learn whatever it should. It was like I started from the back. I had the best thing going, but now we got to put everything in front of it to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, from there, I kept learning about Bitcoin. I still went down the coaching path because I was doing some vegan coaching and because I didn't want to cook for people, and I just learned the value of like really providing that knowledge to people in a way that no one can understand, man. And I feel like I'm ranting a lot, but
Nah, you
it
good.
it it helped. My experiences helped me see, what truth is. You know what I mean? I can see through a certain level of bullshit other people can't. You know what I mean? I can
Right.
hear the truth. I know how to search for it. And we started building that out and sharing it with other people, man. And so over the years, I did a lot of teaching online. People would always say, how would you give this back to prison or incarcerated individuals? And I was like, bro, I don't know, but the opportunity will come for me to do so. And so in 2020, I was challenged by a business coach of mine. Her name was Jen Godet. She's a she's a white woman from Texas, and she said you should write a book about your experience.
Mm.
He said, all right. So I was door dashing then, picking up food, delivering it. I would door dash. I was door dashing through the pandemic, and that's why I told my homeboy, I said, bro, I'll never be in this position again where I'm just not prepared for something like this. And so while I'm door dashing, I'm recording myself writing the book. So I would record the book, have it transcribed on paper on a document and print it
Mm-hmm.
off and add it to a Google Doc and put it in order. I made sure to share it in order so I won't have to go back and do it all over again. But I'm doing all this in the car, door dashing. Because I knew one thing I knew when I left prison was you got to have the will to want to win. Like you got to have the will to want to win. Like I'm a diehard Kobe fan to the death, and I just love how bruh always was like, no matter what, I'm going for it again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I might not support everything Tyler Perry does, but I respect how he got there. He was sleeping on park benches, still writing plays.
Right.
I mean, like you getting rained on. You got so much faith in what you have that you'll go through
Mm-hmm.
hell to deliver it. And so
Exactly.
that's what I held on to in prison. I had faith in me. You know what I mean? I knew I was intelligent. I knew I was smart as hell. I said, like, yo, if I get out, if I want to go to a school, I'm gonna go to an Ivy League. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take it to that level because I learned so much
Mm-hmm.
about me and I learned so much about the power of learning. Like I even I know I mentioned this to you. I had taken this course by this guy named Jim Quick. And it's about turning on your super brain. And me personally, I
Yeah.
always felt like people in the penitentiary, we are the top 1% in the world in solving problems. Like we got to solve a problem every single day in the most complex problem, the most unconventional way. And that's all the business is solving problems. So I started taking his courses, reading his books. And then I ran off like 55 books in like 7 months. And I would just keep reading and reading on the problem I had, then go apply it out there, take that feedback and come back. And so a lot of the stuff I had learned along this journey was, either have a coach or a mentor, what I'm saying, that someone that can help you get there. Do not be afraid of the feedback that you get. Don't take it personal. You know what I mean? And you gotta rewire how you looking at life, because we've all come from a fucked up predicament to where, sometimes we might be pointing fingers at someone else, we might be blaming, but all that responsibility is on you. Like, this is your responsibility. It's like, even if I'm boxing somebody, I cannot allow him, like, it's some fear there, of course, but I can't allow that fear to make me break down, because that's my responsibility to handle that. No one can make you go do something. It's like when guys are being in prison, bro, I can't do this time, bro. There's the fence, bro.
Yeah, go on, try.
You got the choice, jump the fence.
Yeah,
like,
you got,
no matter if death is on the other side of that fence, you got that choice.
Yeah.
So what choice are you gonna make? Like, you got the choice. You made the choice to get here. You know what I'm saying? Say we came from whatever predicaments, whatever. But some folks came from them same predicaments, them same hoods, them same blocks, them same streets, and made straight A's while everybody else was out there getting shot. Somebody else went out there and decided to do the shooting. So like, it's all about a choice, and it's your responsibility.
And how I see it is, when you make that choice, you took that choice on. You making not just the choice, but you making to say, I'm taking everything that comes with it.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah.
I'm taking so either like you said, I can't do the time. Yeah, you got a choice to run over there and jump this fence. So if you take that choice, you also taking everything that comes with it. Whether you make it out, whether you don't make it out, you taking everything that come with it. Just like the time you got when you did that crime, you chose to take everything that came with it.
Like one of my friends said, man, he said, man, how'd he say it? Because somebody was trying to say something. He said, man, prison comes with the streets, bro. Like, you guys want to get all upset when that moment comes, but this is what comes with this stuff, and it just is what it is. So like, and even with taking on a new experience of coming out of prison, trying to take on something, you gotta take what come with that too. Like, people looking at you sideways, people like questioning you, always telling you gotta do a little bit more. They can be your own people, be people you never know. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all the choices that come with it, but you gotta take that shit with grace and understand, like, there's a greater goal. You know what I mean? Like, your will to win. And the greatest thing that I did, when I had my children, I already knew, like, bro, the path for y'all is straight. It's good. I lived the stuff that you don't need to live. My children, like I've said to people, like, I'll never fail as a daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, ever. I'll never fail as a father. It doesn't matter if I got it. Like, I remember I would do these events. I would run up some money. I would come home and pay bills, and I still got a hole in my shoe. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't going to give up on them. Period.
Right. Exactly.
If you don't give up,
yeah, just take your time, man. This is real emotions. People understand what we go through, and it's coming out and trying to rebuild and trying to get our life together. And then jobs telling us no, people trying to con us, people trying to treat us all any kind of way. And we're trying to maintain, and we got family, and we doing everything we can, and we're doing enough to provide. But at the same time, we still struggling, and we still pushing on. That's all fake. But at the same time, that's all emotional. Like, people think like our journey is just because this is real life. It's bigger than just us going to prison. Like, we got to turn everything around, and we got family, and then you trying to leave. Like, I understand where you at with the children. That's why I'm glad that even though you did the time, you're at the age to grab them early, because all my sons, my oldest son, he in prison now. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was gone so long, in and out, doing the crazy stuff, and that was part of the consequences. So I decided to take the consequences and everything that came with it. part of mine is now I got my oldest two sons, one sitting in prison, and then one I wasn't able to be there for them, and one go do some jail time stuff like that, man. Like this is real serious, man. And yeah, man, this is our life, your life. This is your life. And what you're building and continue to build, you're you're setting the pavement. Like people say, I've been asked before, like, how can you have to me a calm death is I got an uncle. I know when he passed, he acquired a lot of land. He worked at this they made wheels and stuff. He worked at this chrome wheeling factory for 40 years. They used to fly him out to go get other plants started. And he took his money, he invested property and stuff like that. And when he go, he you know what I'm saying, he got this property for his children and his grandchildren. He got money and stuff put in. He's gonna go peacefully. That's how I want to be for my children and the other generations to do that financial freedom where you're not using all your time to make money. Right. And that don't equal up to the time. That's how I feel. Like I want to leave all that type of stuff. And you at this point where you got your children and you don't have to worry about, like, I missed 3 or 4 graduations because of prison. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is emotion. Like this is emotion. Everything that you're going through in the work you put in. That's why I'm so transparent with my story day by day, because I want people to see, like, this is a grind to the point where you it's blood, sweat, and tears. You fighting tooth and nail to continue and not say, you know what, forget this, man. Yeah. So I understand the emotion, man, and trust and believe I've been there on several occasions since I've been out. Yeah, it's a journey.
It's a journey, man, but it's the. I always noticed one time too, bro. Like when it gets rough, that's when it gets better. Like you just
most definitely.
It's like you gotta persist to get to the flow. Like I would one thing I would do, man, I would always look at like how the people I want to do business with, what are they learning, how are they communicating, and what's the language they're used to, and then match that, you know. But you just can't give up on them, bro. If it seems like it's too hard, excuse me. Just because something that seems impossible don't mean it can't get done. It just ain't like that. Like people would tell me, like, you know, I don't know how to do what you're gonna do, but you know, you gotta take the clues of what happens. And so, you know, I'm thankful that, you know, my children were born after I came home. Mm-hmm. I'm thankful that you know, I can like guide them, you know, better as a dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's gonna be our contribution to the world. And
you know, it's an old saying that says, it's not about what you gather, man, it's about what you scatter. I do that. I live by that every day. Every day I live by that. What have I scattered today? Not about what I gathered, but what I scattered. And the biggest part of that is scattering to my direct bloodline, to my children. To, you know, I'm old. I got grandchildren. You know, I'm expecting one more here. Expecting one more here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so you know what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, it's kind of what am I leaving to scatter? What am I scattering to them? Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, and that's what it's all about. What you scatter and the giving up. What reminds me of you know the story behind Colonel Sanders.
I think I do, but you can run it by me again.
But I mean, I'm just because when I think about, every time I think about giving up, I think about giving up, or man, like you said earlier, now I'm in my 40s and now I got to grind like I'm in my 20s and all that. And I always think about Colonel Sanders, like, you know, saying he lost his father when he was like 6 or 7 years old. Then he ended up dropping out of school at like 13 or 14. He ended up going he went to the military. He didn't succeed at that. He ended up he got married at like 19. Then his wife, got married, he had a baby. Then his wife left him the following year. Then
Damn.
he went, Then he went and tried to be an insurance salesman. He failed at that. Then he went to law school. He failed at that. Then he tried to kidnap his daughter. He failed at that, but he convinced his wife to marry him, to get back with him. So they got back together, and he became a dishwasher and a cook for this place for the next 30 years. Then it was time for him to retire and get a retirement check. The government gave him a check. I think it was like for $75, and he looked at the check like they was telling him he couldn't take care of his family. So he said he was going to kill himself. So when he went to sit under the tree to write out a suicide note, he started writing out everything that he didn't do in life. And so from that point on, he started kind of writing down a bucket list of things he realized, he got a lot more living to do. So from there, he went and borrowed $100 from his next government check. He went out and bought some chicken and fried it, and went door from door selling chicken. And that's how he started and built the KFC empire. At about 80 years old, he was a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I always think about that story when I'm on to the edge but giving up. Like, man, this man went through all this, and he figured out one thing. Once he figured out the one thing he could do better than other people was fried chicken, and he never gave up because he was on the point he was going to kill himself. He was writing a letter and then realized, damn, that's a lot of stuff I want to do and I ain't did. And then he came with the idea like I can fry chicken better than anybody.
Yeah.
When fought against this government retirement check, man, and built it from there, man. So yeah, we can't never give up, man. Like you said, when you at the bottom, that means you're right at the door. The blessings is coming. You just got to stand firm, man, and believe in yourself. And I'm telling you, not believe, have faith, because Noble Drew Ali tell us the story about Jesus. He talking about the three steps of salvation: the belief, faith, and fruition. So it's really not about the belief. He say belief is perhaps what we think is the truth. He said faith is what we know to be the truth. We got to continue to operate our faith, what we know to be the truth. We know all the hard work, everything that you're dedicated to, the sincerity, and what you put in your foot and your effort, and the people that you help. That's real. You know this to be the truth, and you know what comes out of that. So, man, keep that in mind. I got one question that I always ask everybody on the show. It's really like our final question. And this question is, if you had one word to describe this journey that you're on, what would that one word be and why?
Gratitude.
Why you choose gratitude?
Well, reason being, I haven't given up. And number two, when you show gratitude, something magical happens. More doors open up for you. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning, I try to say thank you for a minute straight. Even if I'm going through something, I show gratitude. Because there's a lot of I heard this man say this sometimes. He said when you're going through something, a lot of negativity, how you looking at it is going to attract more negativity. There's positive, there's well-being on the outside of that. So if you send out that message of gratitude, you send out that energy, then it pierces through whatever, and the good comes in. So it's gratitude, because it's almost like I chose this journey, but I was also chosen for this journey. And great things will come out of it. Just having gratitude for it.
Gratitude. True indeed, gratitude is important. That's one of the most important things that you have to be and have to have is that. So again, I thank you for being a guest on the reentry journey. Where can they go and get the book and watch the mini documentary that you have on YouTube?
So you can check out my book at FromBarsToBitcoin.com, or you can just type in From Bars to Bitcoin on Amazon. It's there. You can check out the documentary. I'm gonna have the doc on my website too. But you can also go to LinkedIn. I mean, not LinkedIn. Well, yeah, it's on my LinkedIn profile. But you can go to YouTube and type in "From Bars to Bitcoin." You'll see the documentary.
Yeah,
But
and I
just go
also
look.
got the link in the, if you're tuning in or if you're on LinkedIn, you see the link in the comment section in the on the reentry on the live video.
Yes, sir. So I'll have it on my website today. But you can just go to FromBarsToBitcoin.com, purchase the book there. You go from Amazon, go to Amazon From Bars to Bitcoin, and it'll pop up right there for you, man.
All right. So again, I appreciate you being a guest on the reentry journey. I look forward to us working together on this empowerment conference, going inside these institutions, sharing our story and sharing our knowledge. And I really think the Bitcoin factor would be strong on the tour, because taking that on the inside and opening and giving that knowledge to where they can have a great understanding if they want to be involved in how it goes. Because I can only imagine people that's been incarcerated for the past 5 to 10 years and trying to really understand Bitcoin, but from being incarcerated. So yeah, because I read a book about the dark web when I was in the feds. I didn't understand nothing about it, even though I read it because I didn't understand the language, so I was reading it. Then when I got out, I found somebody who can speak the language that I speak. And break it to me, what I'm saying? Someone like you, and break it down to me. And I was like, oh, this ain't so much spooky or far-fetched than what they make it seem.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that really is a great asset, man. So I'm really happy, man, for you to be involved, man, because you are a strong asset and a part of our team. So man, I really appreciate that. Before we get off, I do want to say for everybody tuning in that this episode is brought to you by I'm So. That's right. And I'm So stands for inspire, motivate, and support other. You can go to I'mSoNow.com and get all the merchandise. This brand is not my brand. I'm a brand ambassador, but it's a friend of mine who I play college basketball with. He does an amazing thing. He created this brand, and he just happened to represent what I represent. So we just lined together and we built that. So go to I'mSoNow.com and find all merchandise. Got socks, hoodies, sweatshirts, wristbands, keychains, anything that you want. I'mSoNow.com. And once again, thank you, Justin, man, for coming on, sharing your story, sharing your journey. And like I said, I continue to look forward to us working together in the future, man. And anytime, man, you want to talk or whatever, just feel free to reach out to me, man. And I'm always open, man, to help out any way I possibly can. So yeah, utilize that. Extend my hand to you. So thanks a lot, man. And I'll stay in touch with you, and can't wait till we get on this tour, man, and make things happen.
Don't get it going, man. I appreciate you, brother, for real, man. I thank you for even having me on here.
All right. And this is another episode of the Reentry Journey. And like I always say, don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential. Outgrow what you were born into. I'm Cardell Sims. This is the Reentry Journey. And I'll see you next time.